So that's it. Congratulations, Nigeria. We have now a confirmed governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, and obviously there's a lot of work ahead of him, and I'm glad he knows that, because he did mention some of them right there. Top on the list, obviously, is the value of Naira, which is connected inversely, though, to the demand for dollar and our FX and all of that. We have to drill down on this, some of the expectations from Mr. Cardoso now as the CBN governor. Right here in the studio, Mr. Robert Omotunde. He's the Chief Investment Officer with AfriInvest Asset Management Limited. Good morning, Mr. Omotunde. Good to have you on the show.
Good morning, Ini. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so I mean, we had to even postpone MPC, I guess, partly because we didn't have this confirmation. Did we miss anything?
Well, I don't think we did, because if you look at the last MPC meeting, it wasn't much to give to the market. It wasn't exciting, I must say. So perhaps the delay in the postponement of the meeting was perhaps to ensure that the new CBN governor, comes in and then let him run with the policies. Yesterday, again, showed what most of us have echoed in the last 9 years of the previous administration. The governor now, alluded to the fact that the central bank missed it. The central bank actually derailed from its core policy mandate, from its core legislative mandate, to other areas of, no major benefits to the economy. The last administration was filled with all sort of, rent-seeking, because...
Would you be referring to the interventions? We know that the
Yes.
former governor, Mr. Emefiele, was very passionate about interventions in every sector, almost every sector.
No, it was obvious. He was passionate about the intervention. But of course, his decision to run for the highest office in the land showed that that passion was misaligned. The passion would have been to vie for the office of the president and not to be the central bank governor. Because it is clear that if you are the central bank governor, your core policy mandate will be stabilize the prices, let the exchange rate be stable for an economy of this sort, put up an environment that allow growth of the economy to be achieved. Anything outside of that, they are secondary. In fact, to a very large extent, we had a lot of misplaced priorities.
So are you saying you don't expect Mr. Cardoso to go into the area of intervention? A lot of people, even with the complaints about, the anchor borrowers program and all of that, you don't expect, this administration of the CBN, to go into such?
It was clear. If you watch the screening exercise yesterday, it was clear to say that, and other deputy governors, that were screened alongside with him, they made it emphatic that, yes, their core mandate now is to bring the central bank back in line, because central bank went all political in the last 8 years, even though one of the major things Governor Emefiele promised, when he was being screened, and I remember very vividly, in 2014, when he was being screened for that office, one of the things he said was that he was not going to be, he will run an apolitical central bank. But that was not the case, unfortunately, and this is where we find ourselves right now. And when you talk about those interventions, we can go on and on and on and on. Talk about all the intervention. The only intervention that I would say was really positive was the one that existed in the previous central bank's administration, the one that Governor Sanusi Lamido Sanusi put in place. That's the anchor borrowers program. Not anchor borrowers program, MSMEs. That is the intervention program that was targeted at MSMEs, which was to, stimulate activities of the medium, small and medium-scale enterprises in the country. Those ones were a bit sustained. But, we went into anchor borrowers program. Most of the loans that were disbursed, recovery rate was very low. And if you look at the rate of inflation we face now, above 25%, would you say that we achieved the objectives of anchor borrowers program, which was to encourage a lot of local production, substitution of imported products for local? And now we are talking about food inflation hitting 29%. That's the scorecard of the result of anchor borrowers program in the last 8-9 years of the previous administration.
There's also that controversy around ways and means, in that last administration.
Definitely.
Obviously, the CBN surpassed the official limits allowed.
Absolutely. And I mean, blatantly surpassed. Because, I mean, if the law says that 5% of previous year's revenue, at best, you know, if you work it based on government's number, maybe you're lucky to get a 600 billion, of which you are not supposed to disburse the next until the previous is paid. But what do we see? Today we are talking about 20 trillions in ways and means. I mean, that is outrageous, to say the least. And the consequence is the level of inflation that we're seeing in the economy at the moment. Because if you look at the level of inflation, I mean, the new team has a lot of work to do, right? And their primary focus will be put a rein on, you know, general price levels, that is inflation, and then ensure that exchange rate is stable. But the problem that's been created that they have to grapple with is a lot. You're talking about a huge volume of money supply in the system, and the governor mentioned it yesterday. You know, how do you control that much of liquidity that you have in the system? I'm an economist. We believe that inflation is always and everywhere a monetary phenomenon, as put by Milton Friedman, you know, that great economist that we have. But if you look at the level of, you know, printing of currency, what you call ways and means, to the ordinary man, they may not really understand. It means that the central bank is printing money without economic activities backing it up. 20 trillion is a lot. And not just that, we now have a situation where monetary policy lost its anchor. In the last 9 years, the MPC was just meeting as a ritual every 2 months because it lost completely its anchor. Remember the last monetary policy decision, MPR was moved from 18.5 to 18.75. What happened in the market? The market just laughed over it because, again, there's nothing to move. You have MPR at 18.75. The highest market rate in the market today is 16%. What sort of a disparity is that? And at some point, it was even more massive. So MPR was doing his own, market rates were doing their own. It doesn't work that way. So one of the major policy objectives for the central bank is to ensure that monetary policy comes back to anchor on interest rates. Because right now, until we align it, because as it is not aligned, it's definitely misaligned. Perhaps I will advise that the MPC should at least try to bring back MPR to align with market rates and start from there. You know, because what we have now, it's, you know, the major problem it puts, you know, at the doorstep of the Monetary Policy Authority is that no matter what they do with MPR, you know, they are not able to achieve their objective, the intended objective, which is to reduce the volume of money in circulation. If you don't, then inflation will keep chasing inflation and you will never meet it. And we can't run an economy like that.
So the issue of FX is obviously like priority for everyone now.
Absolutely.
And the broad perspective is that the way to solve it is obviously to increase our exports. That is beyond the central bank. Now, I guess that maybe that's what Mr. Emefiele was trying to do with all those interventions, you know, bringing the farmers and the small businesses. Now, if we say that that's not the way to go for monetary policy, which is what the CBN is for, then how can we expect Mr. Cardoso to effectively and in a short term, because it's dire, the naira is about 1,000 naira now, get this FX issue into control?
I don't envy Dr. Cardoso. Honestly, he has a very huge task ahead of him. One of the things we got wrong in the last central bank administration was we were against markets. And there is no economy that thrives when you are fighting the market. Market is too efficient. It will always fight back. And that is the consequence of what we see with the naira today. So what I would advise is, and there are no short fixes, Nigerians have to face it. There are no short fixes. If anybody tells you that we will be able to do it in the short term, they are not being truthful. Because the path I see is we need to gradually move towards aligning the market. And you talk about export. Export is good. But one of the short-term fixes that we can have today, if you dissect the sources of foreign exchange earnings for Nigeria, remittances by far, you know, used to be the biggest before all of these demand-side management and market manipulation that we saw with the central bank. The remittances flow into Nigeria, you know, is not of $18–20 billion on an annual basis. They have not stopped. They only don't come through the official window today. Then we talk about investors and, what do you call it now? Capital importation through foreign portfolio investment, foreign direct investment. You know, we've not been able to attract more foreign direct investment, again, because of what is happening at the fiscal, side. But on the monetary policy side, if we don't see FPI, is a direct result of the efforts and activities of the central bank. So one of the things we can do, and again, I see that the new administration has been trying to attract a lot of foreign investors into the country. It doesn't make sense for them to come now. And I know what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense because the same country issues instruments in USD that are today yielding 12, 11%. So they will buy Nigerian instruments in the Eurobonds market at 12, 11%. There is no incentive for them to come to Nigeria and buy Naira at 16%. With all of the currency issues that we have, it doesn't just work. So the first thing to do, and they know when we are lying, they know when we are saying the truth. So when there is a misalignment, we say that we want to align the currency. Today, we are talking about the parallel market at 1,000 Naira to the dollar, and we are talking about I&E at 730, 740. Sorry, who is deceiving who? So the truth is that if the market will be allowed to do its job, today we have 43 items that are excluded from foreign exchange. Before now, in the early 2010, 2011, up until 2012, 2013, parallel market was just about 20% of the entire foreign exchange market in terms of volume. Today, after we excluded those 43 items, I dare say that the parallel market weight is closer to 50 to 60%. Now, you excluded 50%, let's even say, for the sake of this argument, that is just 40%. You excluded 40% of markets from participating in the official window. Mind you, in this same market, you can buy and sell. Who says the central bank cannot come to the market to buy USD? You know, we always think that the central bank must come and then sell. But this same market, where you have huge chunk of transactions going on every day in cash inflows, central bank is completely oblivious of what is going on there because the central bank cannot participate in that market. I think the beginning is if the new government, the new government came in, we move exchange rate from 430 to 750. And let's be clear, since I have been an adult in Nigeria, the official market always catches up with the parallel market. It means that there is something right about that parallel market that we need to get involved in. Allow everybody to participate, see the same exchange rate, so that our country will not be laughed at. We have been made a laughing stock. You have I&E FX window, you have parallel, you have inflow, you have all sorts of rates in the market. So it's difficult for policy to be pushed.
So one thing I hear you say, which the president of BDCs had also said was, there's a lot of transaction going on in the informal. The remittances are not captured officially.
Massive.
So how do we break that boundary, that bond between the official and the unofficial, and bring at least the BDCs have been pardoned, now they are back?
It is simple. See, if this new government, the new central bank, does what we used to do and unwind all of the unorthodox policies of the last central bank, they will have done excellently well. Because in this same country, the remittances, all of the items that were excluded from foreign exchange, they were all in that market, right? Today, we have billions of dollars of transactions going on that central bank is not aware of. But these same transactions can come to the official window, and it is for the benefit of the country, whether we like it or not. The bulk proportion of our population is trading at that parallel market. When you see inflation in the market, it is reflective of what is going on in that parallel market, not the official window. How many people are getting FX at the official window anyways? So the main market that is functional in Nigeria today is the parallel market. Let's be truthful.
So are you saying if they unban those 43 banned items?
So let me tell you what it will do. You unban the 43 items, right? Don't forget, in that 43 items is rice, is an item which we call, the Eurobonds market. The Eurobonds market, Nigeria's Eurobonds market, Nigeria's Eurobonds outstanding alone is over $15 billion. Then we have Nigerian financial institutions who are playing those markets, okay? And the extent of their play is closer to 20 to 30%. So of the Eurobonds market, not just Nigeria, of all the currencies that are being issued, all of the transactions going on, central bank cannot participate, cannot benefit from it, because people buy and sell in that window, but the central bank do not know exactly what is going on in that window. Do you understand? So when you bring all of the items together, what it will do is that first, you cannot make policies without proper market data. You will even have a sense of what is the total aggregate demand and supply for FX in Nigeria. That's where to start. And then when you have that information, it then helps you to make the appropriate policies, including central bank coming to that window to buy, because the transaction in that space is huge and massive. Then you will have single market rate, and then you can then do interventions that will be effective. Not the sort of intervention that you put more FX in the market, the rates go up. But when you want to target the market, because we have the sense of aggregate demand and supply, any intervention we do will be more effective at that point in time. That's where to start the FX problem from. And it's very important. They need to get on the table and do that very quickly.
Says the Chief Investment Officer of Afrinvest Asset Management, Mr. Robert Omotunde. Thank you so much. The central bank governor knows that there's a lot of work to be done. He acknowledges that, and we do hope that he takes, the counsel that will be effective in a short time. Sounds like we need a short time period. Thank you so much, and happy holiday. Thank you for spending part of your holiday with us.
Thank you.
Let's take a break now. When we come back, and we do have an energy solution that might be of interest to you. Join us after the break.